think what forgiveness does is it helps counterbalance and restore, gives an opportunity for us to reconnect with God's love.
Yes.
Because by reconnecting with God's love, it yields the courage to re-engage the vulnerability, to encounter life in real ways, and begin to dare to share God's love with others.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Witness to Love podcast. I'm Samuel Paul Bryant, owner and founder of Witness to Love Family Counseling Services. We got started doing the Witness to Love podcast to give people the opportunity to give witness to the good things the Lord has done for them. These people include other professional therapists, priests, religious, and lay people from different trades and different backgrounds. The goal of the podcast is to inspire people to live life more abundantly, to live life more gratefully, to live life more fruitfully, to look at God as a God of abundance and love and not a God of scarcity. If you like what you see, please subscribe to this podcast wherever you may be viewing it, and please hit the like button. God bless you, and thank you so much for supporting our mission. And I'm here today with Dr. Mike Redivo, psychologist and father. Good morning, Mike. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Mike, can you tell us a little bit about the things you're doing today in your practice, in your life?
Sure. So I've several things are going on in my practice. I have a private practice, and I work with a constellation of different kinds of clients, as young as age 3, all the way up to someone who's in his early 80s.
Wow. Okay.
And I work with families, couples, individuals, young adults. I'm getting more referrals of young men and women around launching, engaging the world, finding a place of moving out from their home and finding their space in the world.
Yes.
And then, in addition to the private practice, I also provide training and consultation within various school districts throughout Phoenix proper.
Yes.
And so I work with classrooms, programs, training them within a framework that helps teachers, educators, and administrators be able to work with difficult behaviors within the classroom, and helps provide a united front, a united model for them.
Awesome.
to.
Can you give us the name of your private practice and how people can get a hold of you?
Sure, it's just my name. And so it's Michael J. Redivo. And they can get a hold of me by ringing me, 480-231-2663. And they can also go on the website, which is valuesgroundedparenting.com.
Awesome.
And there's a way that they can fill out a form to engage me or contact me that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you have a book called Values Grounded Parenting. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so that was sort of born out of some of the work that I was doing in the schools. A few years back, I was providing training for a lot of the teachers with whom we worked. And one of the challenges that many educators experience is how to connect and have relationships with kids that are hard to connect with and hard to have relationships with.
Yes.
And so this model that was born out of at the time was called productive conflict. And that was this idea that conflict is part of any healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And how do we engage conflict in fruitful and healthy ways?
Gotcha.
So in doing this kind of training, I would typically have teachers, principals, sometimes superintendents come up and meet with me at the intermission, and they would say, hey, this is some useful information. I not only use it in my classroom, but I'm using it at home with my family.
Awesome. Yeah.
And they said, do you ever think about writing a parenting book? So the long and short of it is yes, I'm up for it. I didn't have much time, and frankly, I stunk as a writer. I tried.
Yes, yes.
And I spent about a weekend when I first tried to write, and I got through about a page and a half, and it was so painful, Sam. Good Lord. And then I edited it, and that shrank it down to like one paragraph. And so I felt like it was a prompting from the Holy Spirit to write this book. And when I first tried, one of the mistakes I made is I just wasn't opening in prayer. And so as I started to pray before I was writing, I found that my fingers were dancing on the keypad.
Praise God, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and these ideas were just starting to flow. And so the idea behind, parenthood is such a huge part to emotional well-being.
Exactly.
And psychological health, spiritual health.
Yes.
And so, that was the impetus.
It sounds similar to the work I do with couples. I work with couples using Gottman Method couples therapy. And one of the things they teach is conflict is normal and natural, and every couple is going to go through conflict. You can't avoid conflict.
Yes.
So the key is to engage conflict in a healthy way.
Yes.
Right? So I see that not just with couples, but like you're talking about with parents and their children. In all relationships, you're going to encounter conflict, or you're probably not in any relationships.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
good.
and that's a sign that there's deepening within intimacy and getting a sign of closeness.
Yes.
When someone begins to open themselves up more and more and differences emerge, the conflict surfaces. And some people misperceive that as, oh gosh, there's something wrong, there's something bad.
Exactly.
Whereas, well, no, actually, we learn and we grow through conflict. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to me working with clients how we've been trained to believe that conflict is bad.
Yes.
But it's really a source, like you said, of intimacy. If I can disagree with my friend, my partner, my wife, and be safe, right, and not judged, then that's going to build the relationship. It's going to build connection.
Yes.
And it's my understanding and belief we're created for a connection.
Yes.
Right? And so there's going to naturally be conflict. I mean, we have conflict in our relationship with God.
Yes.
Right? There's things that happen with God we don't agree with, or we're confused about, or we don't understand. And once again, if I choose to turn towards God, it's going to bring me closer. If I turn away from God in conflict, right, then it's going to be unhealthy.
Yes.
Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any other projects you're currently working on right now?
So I'm starting to do parenting workshops. The Values Grounded Parenting, this book that was published about 3 years ago, and it provides a conceptual map for how to think about parenting. So the idea of parents having a vision.
Yes.
Since parents, our goal in raising children is to help guide and direct them. The question then becomes, what's guiding and directing you as a parent in your efforts to guide and direct your kids? And that's where your noble purpose or your vision comes into play. And then the idea of using objective values to guide behavior, your behavior as a parent, and your children's behavior. And so it's these concepts. It provides a conceptual map, but also a lot of real practical approaches around discipline, around boundary setting, around applying consequences. And then also one particular area that along the lines of, I talk about productive conflict in this book, and I'm particularly interested in mistake making within families and what is the culture within a family around mistake making, and how do we use mistakes as camouflaged opportunities to grow and to flourish?
Awesome. Did you say objective principles? How did you describe it?
Objective values.
Objective values. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I call them the 4 anchor values,
Mm-hmm.
and they are respect, accountability, gratitude, and humility.
Wow. And do you offer this for, like, say, if I'm a parent with 3 kids, I can call you and go through this program, or do you offer it in groups? How do you offer it?
In both settings.
Okay.
So I do trainings within groups or workshops within groups, or many parents will reach out to me. I just met with a parent yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and we were going over co-parenting and using this particular framework.
Awesome. Good.
So I can do it in my office, or I also go out in the community. One interesting piece is, it's really exciting actually, is one of the school districts I'm working with, they're not only incorporating this values-grounded learning environment model within many of their schools and programs, but they're also bringing in the parenting workshops. And so what we're looking at is complementarity between what happens at home and what's happening in the classroom.
Okay. Okay.
So the kids are getting this sort of value-based focus in both settings.
Yeah, consistently. So what they're seeing at school matches what they see in their household.
Yes.
Yes, that's beautiful. Can you give me those 4 principles again?
Sure. So they're called the anchor values, and it's accountability, humility, gratitude, and respect. And the idea, for example, and I was meeting with a parent yesterday about this, and one of the concerns she has about her teenage son is he gets angry, and when he expresses his anger, it comes out in these real snarky, disrespectful, sometimes verbally aggressive ways.
Yes.
And so we talked about how that can create a power struggle between she and her son. And as we continued to talk about this, I brought in the concept of the value of respect, and the idea of the vision is to help your child grow up,
Yes.
and practicing respect helps in that process. And so for this particular child, redirecting her son by saying, I don't have a problem with you being angry. I
Yeah.
get that you're upset. The issue isn't that you're angry.
Yes.
The issue is you're not expressing it in respectful ways.
Yes.
And so I'm setting a boundary, I'm redirecting you. Express your anger in respectful ways. If you don't express your anger in respectful ways, well, you'll be grounded.
Yes.
And so here's the cool part to it. It's this sort of perspective that stay grounded or be grounded.
Yes. I like
So
that.
stay grounded in the very values that help you grow and thrive and flourish. And when your behavior deviates, then you'll be grounded. But the purpose is not personal. It's not to try to make your child feel
punish.
small inside, but it's to alert them, I want you to reconnect with your values.
Yes.
Because these, when you practice values of accountability and gratitude and humility and respect, these all help strengthen your capacity to engage life in healthy ways and to
Awesome.
grow into being that young lady, young woman that you're called to be.
Yes. I like the beginning of that, though, where you affirm the other's, let's call it right, to be upset, to be angry. You say, oh, I can see why you're angry. Totally makes sense.
Yes.
Right? But that doesn't give you permission to behave badly. Am I hearing that correctly?
You got it.
Yeah.
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 And the part is that it creates enough space where a parent could say, look, I understand expressing your anger in respectful ways is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I know as a parent, I sometimes struggle with that.
Yes.
But just because it's hard, just because it's difficult, doesn't mean it's wrong, bad, or unhealthy. And what happens in our minds, sometimes we think that, like, oh, this is just so hard. Yeah, it is
Yep.
hard, but that's why we call them growing pains.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So
There's going to be a
face
struggle
it. Yeah,
as
there's
we
going to be
grow
a
up.
struggle, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And there's going to be conflict, and that's okay. Let's use the conflict and the struggle as a way of helping refine
Yeah.
and strengthen us, not cause us to become avoidant.
Good, good, good. The one way I've described that is learning to suffer well. Like something doesn't go my way, learn how to rein in my feelings and behave appropriately instead of maybe victimizing, which gives me an excuse to behave badly, right? Oh, I'm a victim. I can lash out, you know. But if I learn to suffer well, right, that everything's not going to go my way and I need to learn how to act when things don't go my way, it kind of sounds like that a little bit to me. Am I getting that right?
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Which is interesting, and this is probably beyond the scope for our conversation today, but it's sort of countercultural because, you know, the cultural narrative now is if you're suffering or you're stressed, that's not good.
Okay.
And you should be comfortable all the time. If you're stressed, then you need to somehow shift your life because things should not be stressful, things should not be uncomfortable. I
Yes.
see a lot of kids that come in my office where they have that perspective, and that actually creates headwinds and adversity for them to really engage life in healthy ways, because we both know that that's part of growing is facing these headwinds and these challenges. Yeah. Anyways.
And in the Christian language, it's learning how to carry your cross.
Yes.
Right? We're all going to have crosses. The Lord doesn't promise us bliss on the earth the way we live today, but He promises us heaven in the future.
Yes.
Right? But as far as living in the world today, the way it is, there's going to be suffering.
Yes.
And once again, going back to the idea of the way I describe it to some of my clients is learning how to suffer well.
Yes.
Right? And I like the way you brought up the idea that in our culture today, we are taught that there's something wrong if you feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right? Like even body dysmorphia issues, right? It's confusing growing up, right? It's even more confusing in the world we live in today. But that's a natural part of the growing process, right? It's difficult. It's we're going to suffer some in order to grow up, right? From the birthing process to graduating from high school to graduating from college, all those things come with certain suffering.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about yourself, how you grew up, where you grew up?
Sure. So the roots of my family come from immigrant background.
Okay.
So on my mom's side is Irish. On my dad's side is Italian.
Yes.
So that's quite the combustible combination.
Yes.
Irish, Italian. And both Catholic, Roman Catholics and families. And they immigrated. My mom's side of the family was kind of south central Ireland.
Okay.
And they immigrated to Chicago. And then on my dad's side, it was northeastern Italy.
Yes.
And they came, both grandparents came. And so I've got roots in Chicago, but my dad was kind of a bit of a trailblazer. So he was the first to move from out of the nest, away from family,
Yes.
and brought us here to Arizona. And so this is where I pretty much grew up.
Awesome. How old were you when you guys got to Arizona?
So I was just a little tyke. I was probably about 3.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so this is sort of what I've known.
Yes.
Is the Valley of the Sun. And so grew up through here, through the valley, went to public school, Kaibab, and Ingleside, and then went to Brophy for my high school.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then went on to Arizona, University of Arizona, Wildcat.
Yeah, what did you study in the beginning at the University of Arizona? Did you go on to psychology to start with?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I was interestingly enough, that's been something I've had curiosity and a desire to learn more since I was in high school.
Okay.
And so I pursued it in college, and that's where things really came alive for me, was when I got to college, just to be part of this academic world.
Yes.
And learning really became fun there.
Was there a professor in particular that really got you excited about it, or just the environment? Can you talk a little bit about, kind of what fired up those engines?
Yeah, it was being fed information and a perspective or perspectives about human behavior that I was locked in for some reason.
Yes.
And I think, it was a calling for God, the calling of God's for me to pursue this in this field.
So kind of talk about that thing you just said, this calling from God, this, which we would call vocation, right? How did you see that developing over time? And how did you understand it was a calling?
Yeah. Well, that came later.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm kind of late to the party when I feel like a big part of my own faith growth has been looking in the rearview mirror. And so as I look back, I realize, oh, that's what you were doing, God. Oh,
yes.
I miss that. And part of me is saddened when I think about that, because I know the good Lord sent me many people.
Yes.
And I didn't see the Lord in these people. I
Okay.
wish I would have.
Yeah.
And opportunities to connect that perhaps I know I've missed quite a few. But I also paid attention, thank goodness, well enough. And I believe that my heavenly Father worked through my earthly father
Yes.
to really help come into my life at pivotal moments when I was starting to deviate or starting to go off the path. So, for example, once I got out of high school, I didn't want to go to college.
Okay.
And my dad pulled me aside and he said, look, son, give it a year. That's all I'm asking. And it was one of the best advice, because I went to U of A and I absolutely loved it.
Oh, great.
And then I went on to graduate school, a small private school in the Bay Area, and had suffered a real tragedy. My mom was killed, and in just a very traumatic way. And I was thinking, having endured that, I thought, I can't continue on into my graduate studies.
Yes.
And it was my dad and my Aunt Mary who I think the Lord was working through them at the time. And they said, your mom would really, I'm sure she would love if you would to finish your school.
Exactly.
Because
yes.
She was a real positive light. She herself overcame a lot of, I guess we could say, risk factors growing up.
Yeah.
And was a big part of my own positive, my belief in the positivity in working with people.
Yes.
And
that you could you could help people.
Yes. Yeah. And to look at what people do well, and that side of encouraging and saying, supporting.
Yeah. Kind of strength-based, looking
yes.
at what, good.
Yeah. So Seligman's like, positive psychology, that optimism. Mm-hmm. And so my dad and my Aunt Mary said, just finish your graduate studies, and then if you want to take a break then.
Yes.
And I was blessed. I had a great group of friends that helped walk with me through my own grief and mourning and such. So I think that's how God worked through some of the people in my loved ones to really encourage me and to shepherd me to where I'm at today.
Yeah. So those relationships kept you on track. Your father, your aunt encouraging you to finish.
Yes.
That really helped motivate you to stay on the path, in essence.
Yes.
Especially after experiencing that tragedy with your mom. That must have been exceptionally difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. So, can you talk a little bit about, as you're growing up, how your faith was integrated into your life, and maybe how it was integrated into how you practice?
Yeah. I've thought about that. Um, Growing up, we went through CCD.
Hmm.
If you remember CCD.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there were some of those after-school classes that um, they were painful, frankly, to sit
Yes.
through. But I had, we went to church, we prayed. There were many times, it was raised in a family where if an ambulance was going down the street, my mom would say, let's say a prayer for whoever's in the ambulance, or if we went by an accident.
Yes.
So it was visible that way, and we would pray together. We would go to church on Sundays. I was an altar boy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, at Our Lady of Perpetual Help.
Yes. In
Yeah.
Scottsdale.
In Scottsdale. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
And the cool part to that was I would do the morning mass. That wasn't cool, like getting up like super early. But the cool part was my uncle owned a Dunkin' Donuts. And
Yes.
so when I did the early morning mass, I got a donut. So that was
Nice.
yeah,
Good motivation.
yes, yes.
Absolutely.
So I had these experiences of just knowing that God is there. And I remember praying as a child growing up. And I think that God was always at work in me,
Hmm.
but I didn't truly recognize that until my adult years.
Okay.
So I was kind of like a cradle Catholic,
Mhm.
and I know that different points and times when I would pray, especially when I was little, when I got into my teenage years, I checked out in some ways from my walk with our
Checked out,
Heavenly
like not
Father.
going to the sacraments.
No, I still went,
Hmm.
but I was just more of a shell, or more of just a body there. And
Gotcha.
was I really giving my heart and myself to Christ and to God? That was something that I found myself getting involved in different activities that I should have not gotten involved in.
Gotcha.
That I think polluted my capacity to have an authentic connection and to receive His beautiful love at the time.
Yeah. Got it.
And so what happened over the course of time, after, my mom was killed, and the traumatic nature of that also really set my relationship with God back, because I was very angry and very upset. As you
Angry
can well
towards God.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate that I had some people in my life that really encouraged me to continue my faith walk.
Got it.
And so as I grew into my 30s, I got connected with some other men that were doing like a men's fellowship group.
Okay.
And at that point in my 30s, I realized, wow, I can have a personal relationship with God.
Okay. Wow.
So I was, like I said, I was late to the party.
Yeah. Beautiful. Better late than never, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Praise God. That's a beautiful story. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we talk a little bit about what projects you're working on now, and what things you're excited about that you're doing?
Sure, yeah. One of the parenting I'm real excited about, and the training and consultation within schools I'm real excited about, to see how teachers can engage students, and watching students grow and thrive
Yes.
as teachers find ways of handling some of these real problematic behaviors. I'm also, the last 2 to 3 years, have been curious and a lot of intrigue around forgiveness.
Okay.
And forgiveness within my clinical work, and then also in my personal life, with
Yes.
various loved ones.
Awesome. Can you tell us about what's going on professionally with this idea of forgiveness?
Yeah. Some clients taught me this as they were really struggling with a connection with a parent who had hurt them and wounded them. This was about 2-3 years ago. And as we began to talk about their experience of pain and hurt, the idea of forgiveness naturally emerged. And
Okay.
I began to wonder, what would this look like in the therapeutic hour? And
Working with people on forgiveness.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
And forgiveness, which is very interesting, this whole concept is very, very much like a lot of other concepts. When we think about psychological healing
Yes. Yes.
and emotional well-being and spiritual health, many of these experiences happen as a result of a paradoxical encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that in order for us to grow, we oftentimes have to face the wounds that are inhibiting that growth.
Gotcha.
And that creates that conflict that we were talking about
Yes.
earlier. And it's paradoxical in scope because our minds, many times our avoidant minds, that's the last place we want to go.
Exactly.
But that's where the secret sauce is.
Yes.
And forgiveness is one of those paradoxical encounters where someone looks at this concept of, can I forgive someone who hurt me and wounded me?
Yes.
And can I pour love into that wounded space?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Seems counterintuitive. That's not where
Yes.
we want to go.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 Do you have an example of what you're talking about in your own life, in your practice, where you've seen? Well, let me backtrack just a little bit. What is forgiveness?
So it's been written about. There's a book been published by the American Psychological Association of all organizations, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's Dr. Robert Enright published a book called Forgiveness Therapy. Recently, the second edition was, I think it was put out in this year, 2024. Okay. And so his perspective, and I think this is helpful, this kind of idea of forgiveness is, it's when a person who rationally determines that they have been mistreated, or they've been treated unfairly, or they've been harmed or hurt.
Yes.
Chooses to forgive by willfully abandoning resentment, bitterness, and other responses, perhaps hatred and anger.
Yeah. Willfully.
Yes.
Like intentionally.
Yes.
So let's say I'm married, and let's just say my wife hurts me, right, in some way, shape, or form. And I sense a real injustice, right? This was a real wrong. And you're saying intentionally, I say, I am no longer going to hold this against my wife. Am I on target there, or would you add to that?
Yeah. So let's go there. Yes. And so the idea is then you willfully, and what you then do is you provide grace, or you pour love into that wounded space.
Yes.
Through acts of compassion, generosity.
Towards the person that hurt me.
Towards the person that hurt you, and towards yourself.
Well, help me with that one.
Yeah.
Towards myself.
Yeah. So let's look at one. Can I just back up and explain just a little bit about where forgiveness, in terms of how it addresses a wound?
Please.
Yes. Okay.
That'd be great.
So, and this kind of comes from Carl Jung's, some of his work.
Mhm.
Through some of his theoretical works and his scholarly papers, he sort of intimated that at the root of every psychological problem lies a spiritual one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't read that.
Yeah, and this is what I've come up with when I think about, well, what is that spiritual problem?
Mm-hmm.
It's the betrayal of trust in authentic love.
Gotcha.
The betrayal of trust in authentic love.
Yes.
And so this example, when a spouse says or does something hurtful,
Mm-hmm.
on one level, what happens is we feel that, hey, how could they do this to me?
Exactly.
That really hurt. I feel like a bit betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's between person to person. If we go deeper, underneath that is, I was counting on this person to love me.
Yes.
And I believe in God's love, his authentic love. And when someone behaves in a wounding way or a selfish way to me, or I behave in a selfish way and
Yes.
wound someone else, I feel betrayed in that very trust in authentic love, because that is so precious and so grounding and rooting for us in our
Yes.
own sense of health and well-being.
So I start to doubt that authentic love is possible?
You begin, yes. And so what happens, just like you were saying earlier, we're designed, we're born to connect.
Yes. Yes.
And what happens when we feel wounded in that authentic love, what happens is we begin to disconnect a bit, don't we?
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
And as we begin to disconnect, fear starts to chirp at us. And when we begin to disconnect, we become a little less likely to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And when we become less vulnerable, we become less likely to engage and put ourselves out there.
So we kind of start to isolate.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And since we seek authentic love, once we begin to pull back, we not only feel disconnected, but we feel empty. There's
Wow.
a growing emptiness, right?
Yep. A void.
Yes. And since we're designed to connect, well, we're going to find ways then of connecting. And if we're not aware that this is happening and that we're seeking authentic love, we pursue substitutes,
Got it.
counterfeit. And so what might those substitutes be? One way of looking at that is that we form relationships with inanimate objects, like addictions.
Yes.
It can be alcohol.
Form relationships with
Inanimate objects.
inanimate objects. Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard it put like that. That's extremely accurate.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And you think about, like, say, for example, like relationships with alcohol. When you talk with people who are alcoholic and they have addictions,
Mm-hmm.
think about how they personify the booze. They come up with nicknames.
Yes.
I'm going to hang out with Jack tonight, meaning Jack Daniels.
Yes.
Same thing with people around drug use. They come up with these nicknames for the drugs. It's
Yes.
almost as if it takes on a human or that kind of like a
Exactly.
relational quality.
Yes.
And what happens, of course, is that when we form relationships that don't fulfill that authentic love,
Yeah, they're counterfeits.
yes, it's counterfeits.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the law of diminishing returns is we keep pursuing it, and
More and
we
more.
more and more, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the emptiness continues
Yes.
to grow. And so forgiveness, where this becomes, and I think this is so powerful, and I think the field of psychology, I'm glad that APA has produced or published this book. I think what forgiveness does is it helps counterbalance and restore, gives an opportunity for us to reconnect with God's love.
Yes.
Because by reconnecting with God's love, it yields the courage to re-engage the vulnerability, to encounter life in real ways, and begin to dare to share God's love with others.
Gotcha. How do you do this with a client that either is resisting God or doesn't believe in God, or God is not a part of their worldview?
Yeah.
Can you still go down that path of forgiveness the way
Yes.
you're describing it?
So I'm working with a few clients now. And interestingly enough, one was, it's amazing what God does. One was, actually a couple were very, they described themselves as atheist. And as we began to talk about, so one of the parts to forgiveness that I think is, and this is the hard part, because it's not, forgiveness is a process.
Yes.
It's not like something to achieve or accomplish.
Like a one and done. I did something, I do something or say something, and it's over.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
It's something
is
I have to grapple with over time.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's an experience to encounter or to engage, not to just accomplish. And what makes it difficult, but also very healing, is like the example we're talking about, like if a spouse says or does something that's hurtful, it's forgiving the behavior, okay, of what they said or did, but on a deeper level, and this is what makes it hard, is how did that behavior impact me?
Yes.
And when we begin to look at the wounding nature of someone else's sinful behavior, or the wounding nature of our sinful behavior, that's where we begin to do a lot of that meaningful work. In what ways did this person's wounding behavior impact your capacity to trust? How has this impacted the way you see yourself?
Yes.
What kinds of intrusive thoughts have you found yourself having as a result of this person's selfish behavior?
Yes.
And so going into that space without necessarily mentioning God, but just helping them process the impact that someone else's selfish behaviors had on them, it's almost like what happened with Moses in the desert with the serpents.
Yes.
When the serpents were attacking the Israelites, God told Moses to fashion a serpent and put it on a staff and then hold it up.
Yes.
And the Israelites were looking at the serpent. The last thing they would want to look at
Is the very thing that was attacking them. Yes.
but it was the very source of their healing.
Exactly. That's beautiful.
Yes, and so the same thing in therapy, when people begin to name and label, and we know this, right? When they begin to name and label those wounds,
Yes.
there's an automatic, the process of liberating begins.
Yes.
Because then they can choose at that point, do you want to continue to carry these wounds? Because forgiveness, when you think about it, Sam, this is a really interesting concept. Forgiveness is a way of setting a boundary.
Well, I haven't looked at it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and how it sets a boundary is that you're choosing to communicate to the person who has wounded you. What happens with that wounding behavior is that their sin attaches to us. For those that have received that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we carry that wound.
Exactly.
Many times we don't realize that, but we do, right?
Yes.
And so when we enter a space of forgiveness, what we're doing is we're saying, I am no longer willing to carry this wound. Now, spiritually, I'm going to come back to the client that you asked about that doesn't know or may be resistant to God.
Yes.
But spiritually, what happens is that when we carry that wound, it clogs us emotionally, relationally, cognitively, spiritually.
Yes.
And when we set that boundary to say, I'm no longer going to carry this wound, I'm letting it go.
Yes.
Well, what happens is God's grace, then we open up space for his grace to flow through us, which is our design, right?
Yep.
Is to share.
So where I struggle with my clients in this area, what you're saying, the client may say something like, but I still remember. I still remember the wounding act.
Yes.
Right? And they consider forgiveness, I think they misconstrue forgiveness as like a pill that's going to take every memory of the wound away.
Yes.
What do you do in that situation? How do you get that person to understand, once again, forgiveness is a process, and there's a process of letting go, and there's a process of forgiving. Am I getting that right?
Yes, yes. And so, it's a great, and that happens. And what typically that's oftentimes my experience has been when clients say, I still find myself with that resentment.
The
I
feelings.
Still find, yes.
Yes, yes.
That's a sign that they may need to be engage vulnerability at a deeper level. To get in touch with what that pain is.
Yes.
To name it and to label it, to talk about what the experience has been in carrying it.
Exactly.
And would they consider trying to let that go?
Yes, yes, yes. That sounds a little bit like parts therapy there.
Like what?
Parts therapy, IFS, internal family
yes,
systems,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Finding the exile,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
allowing the exile to, understand that wounding thing is over, right? You don't have to live and allow the wound to define you today,
Yes.
right? So anyway, I'm just bringing that up. That's what I'm thinking about as you're talking about it. It seems to have some crossover with internal family systems, parts therapy, which, there's any number of ways we can encounter our clients, different modalities.
Yes.
But when I'm working with, so this is fundamental for me in what I do with couples, right? Getting them to practice forgiveness. Even when you say the word, clients will get confused, right? We don't live in a forgiving society, right? I think in a lot of ways, kind of outside of the Catholic world where we have confession and we have at every Mass, right, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, there's an understanding that I have fallen short, right? And there needs to be some healing, something that's going to take me out of this, let's say, broken place, this hurt place into a healthy place, right? And that process is ongoing. Every Sunday we go to Mass, there's mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, meaning I have done something wrong. I have done something to offend God, offend my neighbor, or to offend myself, right? Can you give an example of, in your own life, or an example with a client where you saw the fruit of this work, right? Where they really got it?
Yeah. So one client who grew up in a home where there was DV and alcoholism, and he came to therapy with the presenting problem of anger, being real rigid, being quite reactive, and a lot of unproductive, destructive conflict in his relationships. And as we began to explore his experience growing up, he developed a narrative, he developed a language of being able to identify how his parents' abusive behavior had impacted his own capacity to love.
Yes.
And this is my language. This is not his, but it disfigured his heart in some ways. It bruised his heart,
Disfigured.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that scourging, right?
Exactly.
Of one's heart, the bruising of one's heart.
Yeah.
And so as he began to identify the impact of various insults, various arguments and between his parents, he began to see that much of his life was centered around fear.
Okay.
And what he was afraid of was being judged, being rejected, coming up and being not as good as.
Mm-hmm.
So you see the fear, and then the experience of not as good as now brings in the shame. And so as he began to talk more and more about his experience with his parents, we introduced the idea of what would it be like, since you've been carrying this fear and this shame, what would it be like if you would forgive your parents?
You brought that up in therapy. Yes.
And and I explain it. So there's some education when you talk about forgiveness, or my experience when I talk about forgiveness with clients is I educate them, and I say forgiveness is a process of letting go and letting in. And you're letting go of the wound and you're letting in love.
Yes.
But it's a very challenging experience because you have to first ask yourself, what is it that I'm forgiving the person for?
Yes.
And it's not just the behavior, it's the emotional impact, the psychological impact, the spiritual impact. Yes.
Yeah.
And so for this gentleman is he's begun to look more and more about how fear and shame have impacted him, to the point where he's able to recognize these intrusive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's now beginning to look at forgiving his father. So it's one, this is how this person's, in his case, my parents' behavior has impacted him. And looking at the wounds and being able to name those and then begin to try to start to let them go and to see how it influences him. That's one part of it.
Wow. Okay.
The other part now is this idea of now looking at the offender beyond their offense. So according to...
So they are not defined by how they offended you. Like the sin that they committed against you is not what defines them. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
You don't like the sinner. You don't like the sin, but you love the sinner.
Yes.
And so, so the first step is one of sometimes the hardest, which is what this book on forgiveness therapy, he calls it the uncovering. And that is to look at the impact that someone else's sinful or hurtful behaviors had on you. Then there's a conscious decision to forgive. And then the work stage, which is the third stage, is as you begin to look at the offender and you begin to imagine perhaps they themselves were wounded.
So develop a type of empathy maybe for the offender.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was looking at, and we've talked, well, what do you think your grandpa, how do you think he was raised? How do you think your mom was raised? And so he began to recall experiences that they too were not in a emotionally healthy home, and that there was a lot of destructive conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And so by him being able to recognize that, he now creates enough space where he could have some compassion. And what we've talked about is this idea that because his parents did not process and do the work he's doing, because they didn't process and work through their own wounds, we know this just in our experience, that which is not processed gets projected.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so him being able to see that and now afford compassion and grace to his parents. So this is what's happening now real time is he's now having these experiences, and it's a myriad of experiences, Sam, where he's reconnecting with his siblings.
Wow.
In loving ways of checking in with them and having conversations with them about growing up. And this is a family that is a lot of families that come from DV. You don't have these warm, emotional conversations. Well, he's going there with them.
That's amazing.
And he says, this is blowing me away. They're actually calling me, and they're actually, we're starting to like have my brotherhood, my connection with my sisters, is growing.
Yeah.
And it brings tears to his eyes. With his own kids, he's reaching out to them and recognizing the value in sharing his love with them and asking questions.
Being curious towards his own.
Yes. And so which we talked about that. I said, one way of building intimacy, because he's like, I want to grow. I want more intimacy. I want greater closeness. I said, well, one way that you can do that is ask your kids questions. Because that very act of asking a question, what it does is it communicates, I want to see you.
Yes.
Right? And the 4 syllables of intimacy, if we change the middle 2, right? It's into me, see.
See. Yes, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, and so he's having these conversations and these questions that his relationships are thickening. Where these conversations used to be more sarcastic quips and kind of jocular ways of maybe put downs, but it's done, in this kind of playful way.
Yeah.
But it was all surface, and now there's depth.
That's wonderful.
And even on another level, when this person meets people he hasn't met, like at convenience stores or people that are homeless and asking for money, he has these experiences of taking his glasses off, making eye contact with them, and asking, "How are you doing today?" So So what's happening in this space of forgiveness is he's re-encountering this experience, I believe, of authentic love.
Yes.
And he's...
Or encountering it anew.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's showing tremendous courage, because being vulnerable for him is scary as all get out.
Exactly.
But he's taking these steps of being vulnerable, of facing the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And seeking to connect.
Exactly.
And these connections are being very reinforcing for him.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I know a difficulty I have with my clients is the fear of, if I forgive someone, I'm opening up myself to be hurt again.
Yes.
Do you encounter that?
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah. And indeed, there's a chance that could happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Good.
Yeah, and so part of the conversation is, where are you at? And this is a conversation I have with clients, is that, it's very hard to have the I without the O, meaning it's hard to live without love.
Yes.
And forgiving, as challenging as it is, and this is where it becomes, I think, godly, is most people can't forgive without the help of God.
Exactly, without grace.
Yes, and forgiveness is an experience where we go beyond the mind we have, because we can't, our own humanness can get so caught up in the conflict and the pain and the hurt that as much as we would like to forgive, we can't bring ourselves there. And that's where Jesus makes up that difference, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whenever I come across something, I try to find the scriptural underpinnings of it. Can I make sense of this through Scripture? And with this whole idea of forgiveness that we're talking about amongst, like, say, family, I think of the Scripture, do good to those who have harmed you.
Mm-hmm.
Do good to those who have harmed you. Pray for your enemies.
Yes.
We hear that in general. We think, oh, God is talking about somebody foreign, not my neighbor, not my wife, not my children, not my parents.
Yes.
But in truth, our spouses can be perceived as enemies, right? Our family members could be perceived that way,
Yes.
right? So, and it seems clear to me the Lord is not asking us to feel good about these people that when they harm us.
Yes.
But he's saying commit to something. And I think that's what you're describing in the
Yes.
forgiveness part, right? It's intentional,
Yes.
right? God willing, our feelings change,
Yes.
right? And we become more capable of loving, capable of feeling, capable of vulnerability. But in the beginning,
Yes.
that doesn't tend to be there,
Yes.
right? I have to work towards that end.
Yes. Oh, yes. So what's coming up for me as we process this is St. John Paul II, this quote of forgiveness is the restoration of freedom to oneself.
Wow, I got to find that now.
It is the key that we hold in our hand to our own prison cell.
Wow.
And you're spot on, because this goes back to the idea of, and I'm interested, another area of interest, I don't have the words yet to capture this, but when I do, we'll have to meet for coffee, because I'd love to talk through some of this, is this idea of, we're designed to connect.
Yes.
And
created for communion.
Yes, and to form attachments.
Yes.
And what happens when we are wounded, we form disordered attachments.
Yes.
Hence attachment disorders.
Absolutely.
And so underneath, and I believe that this has a lot to do with that betrayal of trust in authentic love. And this idea of connecting, just like you say, it's so hard. If I forgive, will I be hurt again?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what we're looking at is that when we begin to pour love, we begin to live again. But what happens is our own relationship with our Heavenly Father, that because of that wound, we've disconnected. Once we begin to forgive and we trust in His authentic love, that relationship, we reconnect.
Yeah.
And I like to think about it from an angle of once we connect with the eternal, we reconnect with our internal.
Yes.
And therefore we reconnect with the external, with relationships.
Yeah. One way I describe it to my clients that have some faith background is when we choose to act like God, we unleash His power in our lives. Mm-hmm. When we choose to be forgiving, merciful, kind, generous, we actually unleash His power in us to do that.
Yes.
Right? And to me, that's a very, even as you're talking about it, you see grace coming into the situation when we are intentionally choosing to do what He's asked us to do, right? Forgive others as we are forgiven.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He talks about in other places, well, going back to this scripture passage, I don't have the actual passage in my mind right now, but do good to your enemy, pray for your enemies, yes. Do good to those who harm you. That's the pouring in love part, I think, that you're discussing. Am I getting that right?
Yes, and that's seeing God in everybody.
Yes.
That's
hard.
And sin causes that to be disrupted.
Yes, yeah.
And so if we can trust and have faith in God, we can go there.
Exactly.
But I know from my own experience in forgiving others that I need God's help.
Absolutely.
To do it authentically. I can say it and I can go through the motions.
Yes.
But if I'm to do it authentically, and those that I have forgiven, I've experienced this freedom, you know, like what St. John Paul II said. The interesting thing, too, about forgiveness, and some people, when I talk with clients about this, I also explain to them that what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not forgetting.
Yes, good.
Forgiveness is not an absence of justice.
Yeah, like somebody hurt you and you say, "Oh, it's okay. Everything's okay."
Yeah.
Right. That's not forgiving.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's that place of entering the conflict to say, I want to let you know this is how your behavior really hurt me.
Got it.
And there's vulnerability in that.
Yes.
And if we have productive conflict rather than just calling a bunch of names and yelling and whatever it might be, cuss words or whatever,
Yes.
if we can speak from the heart to say, you really hurt me and this is how your behavior hurt me.
Gotcha.
We open the door, right?
So how do I forgive a parent that hurt me in some way and I held on to that hurt and that person passed away? Right. How do I forgive, or is there a process for that?
Yes, yeah. So you don't have to go to meet face to face with the person to forgive them. You can go through this process of writing them a letter, explaining to them that you have forgiven them. You can go through your own. I'm working with a guy right now whose father died several years ago. And he has daily conversations with his father. And so we've talked about him forgiving his father, even though he's been deceased.
Yes.
So it's, even though, and this is really, I think what you're getting at, is even though the person has died, physically they're no longer here.
Yes.
But that relationship still continues.
Good point. Yeah.
And so re-engaging that relationship on some level, and again, it's different levels of vulnerability.
Yes.
That someone whose parent has died or is no longer, maybe they don't know where their parent is. Maybe their parent abandoned the family. And so can they go to a space where they can re-engage some conversation with that absent parent or the deceased parent?
So that exercise of forgiveness can be applied to a situation even if the offending party is not alive.
Yes.
And would that also extend to, I have a brother who's done me some harm, and that person is really not safe to enter back into relationship with?
Yes.
Can I still practice forgiveness in that dynamic?
Yes. Yeah, so that's the other part. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation.
Got it.
Now, I would say forgiveness does mean reconciliation with God. So for those that are hearing this, that are interested or curious about a relationship with God, yes, that allows us to reconcile with God. But it doesn't mean like if there's a brother that's been abusive and hurtful, either physically or sexually or verbally, forgiveness doesn't mean that you reconcile.
Yes.
But what you're doing essentially is saying, setting that boundary. I can no longer carry these wounds, and so I'm letting those go. Those are for you, and I hope you find a way of pursuing your own forgiveness for your sinful behavior.
Yes.
But I can no longer carry those.
Got it. And going back to the scripture I mentioned earlier, you can pray for the person who has harmed you.
Yes.
Right? And I have found in my own personal life, when I've been angry with someone or carrying resentment, when I start to pray for that person, once again, I feel like it unleashes God's power in my life.
Yes.
And it transforms my feelings and my thoughts towards that person. It's hard to maintain resentment for someone when you're praying for them.
Yes.
Right? From your heart. It seems impossible. Yes. I mean, how does that happen? So I do think it's a healthy exercise also to pray for the other person, even if it's a type of relationship where the person is either deceased or I can't enter back into relationship with that person because once again maybe they're too toxic or dangerous.
Yes.
Does that seem
very
accurate?
much? Yeah, and just that very experience of, like you say, praying, you become closer to God. And that experience then as you go beyond the mind you have.
Yeah.
Because now you're affording them grace, perhaps grace that they don't deserve.
Yeah. Well, none of it is deserved, right?
Yeah.
Our acts of forgiveness aren't deserved. I understand, if I'm understanding correctly, it's a gift,
Yes.
right? So if someone has treated me unjustly and I choose to forgive their debt to me, right? That's not something that's earned, right?
Yes.
It's something I'm gifting them. And once again, for me, from the Catholic perspective, I'm trying to act like my Father in heaven. I'm trying to imitate my Father. I find when I do that, it unleashes his power in my life,
Yes.
right?
And his grace flows through you.
Yes.
Yes. And when we hold on to those wounds, it clogs us.
It clogs it up.
Yes.
And I think, when we hold on, Our Father says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So when we don't forgive, it's clogging God's grace. It's stopping his grace from coming alive in our life when we don't forgive.
Yes.
That's the way I've experienced it.
Yes. And back to the idea that forgiveness is not an absence of justice. That when someone physically, sexually, verbally harms another, there needs to be consequences. There needs to be justice.
Yes.
But if all we have is justice, things become very lopsided.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so forgiveness is the great counterbalancer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mercy. I do find with clients that is a problem because that justice part's almost like verging on vengeance.
Yes.
I want the other to know by feeling some type of pain themselves, the pain that they have caused me.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's a barrier for many people I work with to forgiveness.
Yes.
Right. It's like, well, I'm just letting the guy go scot-free. I mean,
Yes.
is that what's good about that?
Yes.
Right. That person should suffer, should at least understand the depth of my hurt that they caused.
Yes.
Is that, do you run into that?
Yes. And so part of the work in forgiveness is a lot of times dealing with the anger up front
Okay.
and encouraging your clients to go to that anger, to express it. And what happens is that anger oftentimes masks other more vulnerable and sensitive feelings.
Yes.
But that anger is the entry point where being able to release that
Yes.
so that there can be healing of the deeper wound.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I have found in couples, and this is some of Gottman's work, that if I'm offended by my wife, my wife harms me, and then I choose not to forgive, or I find it difficult to forgive, it's because it's this type of contempt. I hold myself as superior some way to the other. Oh, I would never hurt somebody like that,
Yes.
right? Or a typical one with couples therapy is,
Boy, now we're getting somewhere.
oh, what kind of a person does that?
Yes.
Right? Basically saying, what kind of a lower level human being
Yes.
are you?
Yes.
Right? Which I'm putting the other down and me up. Well, Gottman would say, similar to Scripture, if I reflect on, well, how have I sinned? How have I hurt my wife? Right? Or what other hurtful things that I have done that I would want to be forgiven for? As long as I stay focused on the other and their sin
Yes.
and how I would never do that. The smoker tells the drinker, what's wrong with you? Why do you drink?
Yes.
What kind of a person? The drinker tells the smoker, oh, that's disgusting.
Yes.
Well, what kind of a person smokes cigarettes?
Yeah.
Right? There's that dynamic that goes on. So part of it does seem to be humility, understanding that I'm a broken person myself and I've hurt people.
Yeah.
Does that you find that in your work?
Yeah, you're getting at such a valuable and important part to this work, which is that's what oftentimes happens is that we can easily go into a posture of judging.
Got it.
And once we begin to judge, the sad part is we lose part of our humanity in the process.
Yeah.
Because now the judger becomes that criterion of value. And by its very experience, right?
Yes.
We lose our connection with
Yes.
like humility, with being down. Like humility is being down to the ground, right?
Like I take God's position, I become the lawgiver,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
How did you describe that again? It takes away my humanity?
Yes. What happens once we begin to judge, we begin to lose part of our humanity.
Yes.
Because we ascribe to ourselves a criterion of value of judgment. And automatically, just like you say, once we become above, we are now putting ourselves out of the circle of common humanity.
Yes. That's a very powerful way of describing it. It really impacts me, right? This idea that somehow it takes away your humanity.
Yeah.
Right? That's definitely a phrase I'm going to use now because, even the impact it's having on me just thinking about it right now and letting it impact me, it's like, wow, I don't want that. I don't want to not be human, right? I want to be as human as possible, and I want to treat other human beings
Yes.
like they're humans, not like they're animals or some other thing that's beneath me as a person. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
And what underneath a lot of that, I believe, is shame.
Being judgmental. Underneath being judgmental is shame.
Yeah.
So it's like a protection,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
And
can
it's unprocessed, right? That's that idea of that which is not processed gets projected. And people who judge oftentimes are dealing with their own shame that they have not yet processed.
Yeah.
And so they feel judged, and that it's that experience of being less than or not as good as, you don't quite measure up. Yeah.
Yeah. Shame is at the root of why we tend to judge others. Am I getting that correct?
Yes. I think a good number of people deal with it. I think we all deal with it, and it becomes...
Brene Brown says everybody deals with it.
Yes, yeah. And it's incredibly problematic because as she defines shame, it's a two-part definition, which is this idea that it's a belief that we're broken or defective, which, it's all of us, right? The first part of the definition isn't the part that stings. It's the second part, and it's because we're broken and defective, we are therefore unworthy of belonging, being cared for, and being loved.
Wow. Okay.
That's the zinger.
Yes. So when a person is in that state and they're wounded by someone, it becomes very difficult to forgive.
Yes.
Right? Because they're going to attach to that wound. And what we're talking about is then become judgmental of the other.
Yes.
Right? Unable to see or maybe to see the humanity of the other.
Yes. Because part of their own humanity has been wounded.
Yes.
And so that's that first part, the uncovering stage in forgiveness is restoring the part of your own humanity.
Yes.
To recognize that you're not less than, even though this person was very selfish. They didn't consider your physical well-being, your sexual well-being, your mental, your emotional well-being. And their selfish behavior has now crossed a boundary and has harmed you.
Got it.
That part which is to recognize that your own experience of being worthy of God's love.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the healing part.
Praise God. So as we kind of wrap things up here, one of the questions I like to ask the people I work with is, what is healing? So either like as a summary of what we talked about with forgiveness, or just what do you see as healing when you're working with your clients? Is there a basic definition you have that you can share with us?
Well, gosh, that's a great question. You know what came up for me, I probably gonna need to think about this a bit
Yeah,
more,
yeah,
but
yeah.
what came up for me, healing is being in a shared space with another or others
Mm-hmm.
and bearing witness to their hurt and wound and being able to connect with them in that space
Yes.
and to see them as for who they are
Absolutely.
and
So
a
create a
more
loving connection.
wholehearted, yes, yeah,
Yeah, healing is creating a loving connection,
yes,
right? And as we've been talking, we understand we were created for connection. The way I describe it to some of my clients is we're created a synergistic people, meaning coming together, me and you can create more and do more and be more fruitful than we can individually.
yes,
Is that the way you see it a little
yeah,
bit?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because we encounter in this space a degree of closeness, a degree of
absolutely.
togetherness that I think comes from, just like you say, it's this unspoken desire. Right? We all have that infinite need, which is to love and to be loved.
Yes, that's a great
And
place to end right there.
yeah,
We all have a significant need to love and to be loved.
yeah,
Did I get that right?
yeah, an
Awesome.
infinite need. Yes.
An infinite need.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
praise God, Mike.
yeah.
It's been great talking to you.
Yeah. Likewise. Yeah, thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk again
I hope
on
so.
some other topics.
Great.
All right. God bless you. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah. Same to you.
Thank you.